Right.
Hello and welcome to yet another exciting edition of the Rethink India Masterclass. Today we have with us Madam Seema Handa, Honorable Director of Eklavya School, Jalandhar. Madam is a graduate in psychology and economics and transcended to be a person of system design and programming and is a driving force behind Eklavya School, Jalandhar. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you.
Also, the spirit of the school, which says Swayam Darshanam, Swayam Jyotiha, Swayam Margakaranam, is indicative of the entire spirit and persona of Eklavya, who outwitted the Pandu Prince Arjuna, and thus Eklavya School Jalandhar is committed to make winners of life. Ma'am, would you like to kindly throw some light on how your journey has transcended from being a person of psychology and economics and to systems design and programming, how you have steered through the entire operations of Eklavya School Jalandhar?
Thank you, Surabhi, for having me. I'm Seema Handa, Managing Director of Eklavya Group of Institutions. It has been a very long and colorful journey. As you mentioned, from psychology and economics, I went on to do my post-graduation in English literature, where I was a gold medalist in the university, and then moved on to do systems design and programming. The exposure that I got during my 2 years in the US was extremely mind-opening. It was a great learning experience, and gave me a big push on my journey. I have worked in manufacturing. I have worked in the service industry, and I'm now in education, automobiles. So it's been very, very diverse, but it has also been, lot of cross learning. What I have learned in manufacturing and in the service industry, we have been able to bring that learning to education. And that is the unique point about our institution or about our group of institutions. We have a couple of branches here in Punjab, and we have several associate schools in the West, in Gujarat. And one is, the cross learning of our own experiences that we all bring to the table. At the same time, there is a lot of interaction with the associate schools. That also enriches the entire teaching learning experience. How to ensure that our children are not just educated in the syllabus and the curriculum. That is the basic purpose of an educational institution. We have to provide learning, the academics have to be covered. But there is so much more to education. I mean, the word education encompasses the whole world. It encompasses the entire life of a student or an individual. So we have to continuously endeavor to live up to this expectation the moment we call ourselves an educational institution.
We read that you focus a lot on the action-driven aspects of education. So what are some of those interventions at Eklavya Group of Institutions which differentiate it from the rest?
As I just mentioned, academics is the starting point, but that is not the end all and be all of education. The whole purpose, the whole objective is to, the institution should provide these skills for the lifetime of a child. Now, knowledge, which is information, is of very little use later in life, because that's knowledge which remains in the books, or at best it remains in your mind, in your head. But how to apply that knowledge, the application is actually the true journey.
And that is of the experiments going on at Eklavya in this regard.
Yes. Yes. So, right from the junior classes, we have a very application-based, concept clarity is a huge focus because the syllabus of academics should be clear, should be understood by the child. And then the next step is application. So we have, entire syllabus, the timetable has activities woven into the timetable so that there is no possibility that this aspect of education is overlooked. The culmination of all the application of knowledge is every year we also have a science exhibition where we only have working models. There are no presentations or chart papers. There are no thermocol models. It has to be a working model, and each child has to participate, no matter what subject, no matter what concept or topic that child may want to present. Presentation. So we invite all the parents, each parent, and we get such enthusiastic participation from the parents. The child in lower KG is making a presentation on floating and sinking. The child of 12th standard is making a presentation on artificial intelligence. So these are all models which the students present to each other. A lot of peer interaction, lot of peer learning, and then they also present not just to their own parents and their own family, but to the entire Eklavya family. It's a huge learning. It's like the culmination, of the entire principle of application of knowledge. So
Okay.
that is an event, which everybody looks forward to. The children from the beginning of the session start preparing, and it's not just the end result; it's the journey.
As you very rightly
But
said, ma'am, that education is a journey in itself. It's not the destination which matters so much, it's the journey, the entire process of learning. And you've so beautifully encompassed application based learning into your pedagogy. So, this is really.
So how did the winners of life at Eklavya cope with this lockdown period and continued their journey on and on?
Yes, that was a beautiful challenge. We pride ourselves on being a young organization, not in number of years, but in our thinking, in our pedagogy, in our thought process. We want to be always agile and open to change. So, and it's a philosophy which is reflected in my staff. The median age would be around between 30 to 35. So the thought process is continuously very young and open to continuous introduction of new developments which are taking place in the field of education. So the moment we perceived the possibility of a lockdown and the rumblings had started coming in, immediately there was a huge focus on reskilling of the teachers, how to go online. We were already, board classes had started, and we were very sure that if there is a lockdown, primary, pre-primary, everything will move online. So this sudden expectation, so there was skilling in terms of how to use technology, how to use devices, how to use various softwares, apps, cartoons, so many platforms which are available, the governmental platforms, the non-government platforms. There is so much content available in the digital field. How to bring that.
Could you elucidate our viewers about a few of the platforms or apps which you have used and the students have really benefited from?
It's endless. It's endless. We are continuously adding. There are so many apps. For example, just to mention a few off the top of my head, Khan Academy Kids. There are two versions. There's one for children. There's one for older children. Then Hello English. English is a huge focus for us. And this is conversational English. This is not rote English. This is not vocabulary words. It is English in context with a voiceover. So you're looking at pronunciation, you're looking at voice modulation, you're looking at intonation. Similarly, for higher classes, of course, we are using a lot of the government platforms. There's Diksha, there's Vidyadan, there's all these platforms also we are using. But the point is, the content is out there. not each teacher is not aware of it, is not equipped to handle or to move suddenly from a physical class to a digital class. It needs reorientation, it needs refreshment of knowledge. And these platforms also are now coming up. Swayam Prabha, EduSat, all these have come up during the lockdown. So it has been an ongoing period, kind of process. As and when things were coming up, we were all disseminating knowledge, and we are continuously having small workshops. Instead of having a 1 hour workshop and trying to disseminate all the knowledge, we have these 15-minute daily meetings where people bring their experiences, their challenges, new content which they have discovered. So all that is shared, and so it becomes very hands-on. We are not waiting to share information or to be overwhelmed by the challenges, because the sharing and learning is happening real time. So everybody feels involved. And when you share a challenge and somebody comes up with a solution, the very next day you are able to apply and overcome and move on. So we've also been moving. We started with Skype, and then we moved on quickly to Google Meets. And then we found there was a whole plethora of applications. There was Google Meets, which was linked to Google Classrooms. There was Google Grades. So we were quickly able to digitize not only the learning process but also the assessment process. Now, assessment is a big challenge. So partly we were able to overcome through the Google Grades, because it seamlessly works with Google Classroom and Google Meet. So that was one challenge which we were. Now the other challenge for us is to how to remain connected with our parents. This entire digitization or online process has equally been challenging for the parents. And being a parent myself, I can truly understand the situation of a parent who is suddenly, there is a work from home for the parent, and at the same time the parent is now involved, actively involved in the daily education of the child. That requires again upskilling of the parent also, in a way. What was happening in the classroom, well managed by the teacher, the disciplining, the progress of the curriculum is now suddenly the parents' responsibility. So we had a lot of workshops with the parents, with certain technical problems, availability of devices with the parents, their understanding of those devices, technical issues with those devices, net connections, data problems. So we did those, just to bring that comfort level and at least remove the technical glitches. Then we had another set of workshops about, de-stressing. The parents, yes, it was not just the children. There was a lot of conflict at home because, either the children didn't want to study, there was disciplining issues, or if the student did study, then there were these concerns about long hours before devices, their health impacts. So all those challenges, we introduced a home period, at the beginning of the academics. The purpose was, let's connect, let the teacher connect with the students, have 15 minutes of deep breathing, a little meditation, some amount of yoga, change every day, have different activities in the morning. So get the children involved, get them moving, give them activities, small tasks to be done in the evening, so that they move away from the screen.
Very important, ma'am, because as we see in the schools, when a child goes to a school, there's already an educational ecosystem in which he's just entering, and the programming is the bell goes, and then now it's English period, now it's a maths period, so it's programmed that way. But at home, it can be chaotic, and the child to focus and concentrate and to create that environment. And this is beautiful that you have a home period right in the beginning, and the teacher is connecting informally with the student, the parent, and the family as a whole. Like in medical sciences also, we have what we call the general physician or the Vaidya. Family doctor, what he's supposed to do is to connect with the family, the overall ethos, the ecosystem, and then diagnose the problem. It's not just a student case study in the scenario of education alone, which is important. The student is a part of a family, how his parents are, helping him to study, or how he's coming up, performing the compliance issues of what the pedagogy or the delivery is going on. I think this is beautiful, really.
How contented you are with this transformation. The school was running in a particular design, it all got disrupted all of a sudden, and then it was all transformed to a new design. So how contented you are as the driver behind this entire initiative?
See, this disruption was unprecedented. No matter how technically, upgraded the school was, or technologically facilities were available, nobody was prepared for this. And the switch was so sudden. There was no time for any kind of preparation, and there was absolutely, day one you were in the physical class, and the day two you were in a digital class. So to that extent, I would say it was a huge challenge. We all had to pull together and overcome and ensure that the children or the students should be the least affected. Although I think we also at the same time wanted to highlight, we didn't want to cocoon the children. There is a distinction between ensuring that the children have minimum impact, but we didn't want to insulate them or cocoon them. This is once in a lifetime kind of event, but it's also a huge learning for these children if it is dealt with in the positive light. So to that extent, when you ask your question, are you satisfied? No, I'm not satisfied, because there is no end to what you can achieve or what you can strive to achieve. But it does open up so many possibilities. I'm telling my teachers and my parents and my students, look at this as an opportunity. It will happen only once in a lifetime. What can you learn from it? This is going to impact your entire life. So next time you are in a crisis, you know how to deal with it. You've been through it. What we read in books, what we talk about disaster management, about pandemics, would be one line in the textbook. You would not relate to it. But here you are living through it. You are going through it. You are seeing how adults in your environment are coping. You are understanding how the government is dealing with this crisis. 20 years hence, you will be in that position where you will be taking decisions. So you will have this entire learning, which these people are not fortunate enough to have. But you will have this experience, which you can apply to any kind of disaster, any kind of crisis. It may be personal, it may be a professional, it may be societal, it may be national, it could be international. And you would be the generation who would be able to handle it. Not just, in terms of decision making, but also in your psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, physically.
Is the leader speaking
yes.
from the back to create real winners of life, to see an opportunity even in such a dastardly challenge. You can face any challenge in life moving forward. And this positive outlook, I think, is a real driving force, ma'am. I think thanks a lot for bringing it out in such a lovely fashion, because technological transformation is just one side of it. But the way you have rooted in the philosophical foundations of failures or challenges, this is something really transformational. So what do you think that out of this experimentation, out of this scoping out, what would be some of these elements Eklavya group of institutions plans to imbibe in the new normal?
Uh, See, there's no going back.
Mm-hmm.
We should forget that, and there is no point in looking back.
Mm-hmm.
The whole process of learning is to look forward, to see what what changes can I be prepared for in the future. The whole purpose of education is to improve yourself, is to upgrade yourself, and for the future, right? So I have to unlearn whatever has happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to relearn the new normal, like you're saying. And the new normal is partly known,
Mm-hmm.
partly it is unknown, it is ambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the challenge. That is the whole purpose of education, to be prepared for something which is unknown,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to deal with it as it reveals itself,
That's why
as my future.
Mm-hmm.
you edu leaders are edu warriors on the field now. You are protecting the morale of the students, the children, the parents, the families. We have the warriors, the administrators, the doctors, and the police professionals. But then the edu leaders are doing such a great responsibility, such a great duty that they're keeping up the morale and the educational entire mandate they're steering through ahead with fortitude, bravery, and wisdom.
I think one very important thing Madam mentioned is an acceptance of VUCA, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I think with a smile on the face and with the, I think, kind of a futuristic thought process, they are accepting that ambiguity is the new normal and we have to brave through, and this is the purpose of education. The kind of human endeavors just to control everything in a controlled circumstances doesn't prepare the kids for future. I think this is a very remarkable differentiation which Eklavya group of institutions under Madam's stewardship is certainly leading forward. Ma'am, would you like to enumerate a couple of specific use cases in which you are trying your students to overcome these ambiguous use cases? How it is being deployed in practice?
The challenge is, the easiest thing is in a way, I'm not saying it's easy at all. In fact, my teachers have been, it's been a huge process of communication and interaction with the teachers, because they are the ones who are under a lot of stress. I would say the maximum impact has been on the teacher who has been suddenly pulled out of the comfort of a classroom and told to implement the same quality of education on the digital platform, and I would say under the keen scrutiny of the parent, because of the digital education, the parent is oftentimes equally involved, available during the classroom, and that becomes a challenge in itself. So I've been telling my teachers, you are, like you mentioned, Dr. Surabhi just mentioned, these, you are the unsung heroes. There are the warriors, the doctors, the healthcare workers, but you are equally the heroes of this time, because you are upholding, you are protecting the most important segment of our population, our children. Their entire perception, how they deal with this crisis will depend on what light you are able to throw on these events, how you are able to help them perceive these events as something like a learning opportunity. Now the challenges that you mentioned, specific events that you feel which can highlight how we have tried to implement. The challenge, like I said, perhaps is not so much in academics. That's defined, that's known. uh, yes, there are challenges in being experiential online. The theory can be imparted, the experience part of it is more difficult, and we haven't had time to plan it or organize it better. So that in itself is a challenge. Also the challenge is, along with academic, and academics is one part of it, there is so much more to education. There's the the psychological and the spiritual aspect of the child. Now we have a very strong mentoring program. Now that mentoring program has, has been challenged because of the remoteness of digital classes. In the school, in a physical environment, we can provide so much emotional, physical support to a student, which is not possible now. And also to hold the attention of a child, and there is no privacy. The child can feel that there is no more that privacy between the teacher and the student. So that hampers psychology. So that I feel is one of the challenges. How we have tried to overcome these challenges is, lot of uh, inputs from the students in terms of two-way communication. So we started doing a lot of surveys, through Google Forms, where a sense of privacy, because the student is able to respond individually, and the response can be anonymous. So if the student does not want to divulge, so that is one specific area which I felt has really been very useful, very productive, worth our time, worth the effort involved in conducting these surveys. But it has made a lot of difference in, we have to convey the perception to the students. This is how you must perceive these set of events. So how to get their feedback, and in whether we are doing an effective job or not. So these surveys I thought were very useful in ensuring, that we had a two-way communication. That was one. Another is, of course, all the students who were very, involved in non-academic sports, music, art, other aspects. We have, in fact, we have a lot of students. We have one of our alumni who's an amateur golfer. We have a tennis player who's now playing in the US. Similarly, we have a student who's doing very well with guitar. Another student who does covers. Beautiful, brilliant student. He does covers. He's got his own YouTube channel. He's got a huge following. So these are all alumni, who have grown out of Eklavya. So we want to continue to provide that environment, that kind of opportunity for students who want to excel in other aspects of education. So that is a challenge where, we've encouraged our students to participate, right from robotics to various other avenues, just to keep them interested and challenged. Otherwise, music or art would take a back seat, especially through these digital classes, because we are so focused, get the academics done, get the syllabus done. So these are a couple of areas, where we have tried to ensure. Then another aspect that we are focusing on specifically are skills, life skills. Those are very important. And, we have brought in a specific focus that how are we going to challenge our students in terms of their confidence, in terms of their communication abilities, especially because now they are in a home environment. There is very little interaction, pure interaction. So how to ensure that they remain engaged for communication, confidence, critical thinking, creativity. So those challenges, are something which in a way we are still grappling with. Let me be honest. We haven't been able to address them to my satisfaction. One couple of things which we have done specifically is we have encouraged the students that you interact with the family. Find out what are the tasks where you can contribute. Rather than my telling the student go water the plants, which only creates additional work and a pool of water to be cleaned up later. We've asked the students, ask the family members, your grandparents, your parents, your older siblings, how can you be a useful contributing member of the family?
Lovely.
Then tell us, what did you do?
I think
I will not assign any task.
An unsatiated edu leader is certainly the fountainhead of excellence, because once you are not satisfied, you keep on finding out newer and newer ways to excel upon. And this experiment of involving the family in the education part, which in the normal course used to get a bit ignored because of the timelines and all. It's certainly a novel one. Ma'am, you mentioned one very important thing and we left that out. Uh, that the biggest stress and the biggest transformation was with your edu warriors, the teachers. Now, in what all ways have you been? Because as an edu leader, you would have been really rising up their morals, hand holding them, and preparing them for this, I would say, a war kind of a thing, a situation where none of them was prepared. So, how were these edu warriors armed and then motivated to fight on these frontiers of online education?
It's an ongoing journey. Every day new challenges come up, and we need to address them. I'm not saying I have the solutions. The point is actually not to have a solution, but the point is to acknowledge that there is a concern, and to validate that your concerns are genuine, and that confidence that I have in you to resolve the issue. So that is the feeling that I need to create in my teachers, because the challenges are different for different people. The pre-primary teacher has a challenge, my student runs away, during the class. My students are not paying attention, are not grasping, not understanding. The class 12 challenges are totally different. So, and in between you have the middle school challenges. For them, and novelty and naughtiness go together, so muting other people's mic and fiddling with other people's videos. These are also challenges, and of course, you tend to tell the teacher, well, you have to discipline your child, but she is facing that challenge on a daily basis. So, like I said, accepting the challenges, understanding them, providing a platform to share your challenges and maybe take some inputs from each other. So all workshops that we had for our students and teachers, for our students and parents, for example, device related technical issues, we again did with our teachers, because different teachers were equipped differently with different devices. So that in itself was a challenge for the teacher also. So those we addressed. Then of course were the daily teaching challenges, or the daily delivery challenges. So that again is something which we are providing on an ongoing basis. Continuous appreciation, motivation, continuous understanding that we are also learning, and an acknowledgement that your struggle is genuine, and we appreciate the progress that you have made. I think that is important.
Lovely. We just encountered three lovely Sanskrit adages in the school motto, in the school logo, and this really stirred the philosophical mind in all of us. And they are truly in that Eklavyan spirit of Swayam Darshanam, Swayam Jyotirha, and Swayam Marg Karanam. And all through this interaction of 30-35 minutes, we have seen that under your stewardship, Eklavya School is certainly abiding by each one of these. Like you had no other time, you had your own self-image, and you created your own technological bouquet and ecosystem to drive on this challenge, and then you enlightened it all. Swayam Jyotiraha, all your faculty members and parents and students were all put up. And Swayam Marg Karanam, a self-paved path has been laid out. And you mentioned a very beautiful aspect of mentorship program which you have at Eklavya, which really truly creates mentors for life. The true acceptance that challenges have to be accepted. A listening ear has to be given to your leaders, to your faculty. I think just a smiling and accepting face of a edu leader, it takes away all the frustration and challenge from the people over there. Who composed these all? When it was all inculcated in the Eklavya motto? This is our parting way question, because it seems that there is a profound philosophy, some real profound minds which are at work at Eklavya, the legacy over there. So our viewers would really like to know this fountainhead of wisdom and inspiration, which is really driving Eklavya.
Um, See, the basic philosophy behind Eklavya's motto is that your potential, if you see our logo also, it is a statue of a boy carving himself out of stone. So the statue is itself carving, basically, it means that you are the maker of your own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Your true potential is hidden within you, and only you can reveal that potential.
Lovely, lovely.
Education or your teachers
Mm.
or the institution are facilitators.
Wow, wow,
The
wow.
potential is within you and it is there within each child.
Mm-hmm.
It is for the child
Mm-hmm.
to recognize that potential
Mm-hmm.
and to bring it out. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so to that extent, along with I just wanted to mention that when we are talking about academics and co-curricular activities, we also have a structured happiness program. You know,
Mm.
uh, where this was again something which we were doing in the physical classroom, maybe not so effectively in the digital classroom, but we are continuing. And this is a structured happiness curriculum which is runs from nursery to 12th. So it is graded as per age and graded as per the potential of the children.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire year we because see, happiness is also, again, it is within you. It is not an external event or not an external journey, it's an internal journey. So we must open that to the children. Your happiness is within you, it is in your control. You have to discover your happiness. What makes you happy?
Mm-hmm.
That is your potential in life. That is what you have to achieve. That's your goal in life. So this logo was the entire philosophy was the philosophy designed by our principals, which is I mentioned we have associate schools in Gujarat.
Okay, okay.
It was a 2-year intensive uh, study,
Mm-hmm.
not only of the Indian education systems, especially in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
Norway, the Scandinavian countries, understanding their teaching pedagogy and their teaching philosophy, bringing it home, and then putting it in the Indian context, and then designing an entire education process around these various, our own ancient teaching philosophies,
Mm-hmm.
bringing in the Western thought process, and then, modernizing the concept in the current context.
Mm-hmm.
How would you impart education, meaningful education? So that was the philosophy behind this. Everything was a lot of thought and a lot of interaction, lot of research, lot of study has gone into this. And we are very fortunate, like I mentioned in the beginning, we are very fortunate to have this pool of thinking minds
Mm-hmm.
to sound off against.
Mm-hmm.
That keeps us continuously upgrading, updating, and upskilling ourselves, not to be content with what we have, but there's so much more still to be done.
With your consent, permission, ma'am, we would like to show our viewers this lovely logo of Eklavya School Jalandhar. I would be just doing a screen share right away. And what strikes me, Dr. Sudi, is that at Eklavya, we have interviewed so many schools out there. As madam is enunciating, that this entire spirit is being lived and led in practice. At times, logos are just created with lofty words, wisdoms, some aphorisms from here and there. But being the edu leader, the way she has enunciated it, enlarged it, and uh, all through her programs, all through her interventions which she has made, I think it is being lived and led in real true spirit. And as our viewers can see that we make winners of life. This spirit in this short interaction is probably quite evident uh, at what is happening at one of the most beautiful cities up north in the state of Punjab, the city of Jalandhar. And with what poise and with so much of, I would say, smile on face and contentment.
Absolutely.
Things are being driven over there in Jalandhar, which is primarily a business city. Parents are mostly from business communities, so challenges become a bit more over there. Uh, so this is this lovely, brief, concise website of Eklavya, which gives a snapshot in just one view. And I just wanted the viewers to have a look at what Eklavya is doing out there. Thanks a lot, madam, for this lovely interaction and sharing your profound thoughts and action pointers over there. And certainly, what you have written, that it's an action driven school. And we wish you all the best for your futuristic frontiers of education. I think it's some of the real, true experiments are going out there. And our viewers would be really benefited from your experiments, experiences, and and uh, and they would be really adopting some of them in their own educational universes. And the team spirit with which Eklavya has marched forward, championed this COVID crisis. I would not say it's a crisis; it's more of an opportunity which you have transformed into. And I think it's coming from the personal leader per se, because you have not limited yourself from psychology and economics. You went on to computer science, systems design, and programming. So this, I think, this is a majestic jump. And as we say in our Indian tradition, that Acharya, one who leads by example. So thanks a lot, madam, for sharing your wonderful words with us, your actions with us. It was such a lovely interaction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for having me. It was a wonderful opportunity to share some of our thoughts, part of our journey with Dr. Surabhi and yourself. So I'm glad for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.